Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. And in this one, we're going to be taking a look at a VOLIBEAR rework leak. Now, as I'm sure you guys know, VOLIBEAR's rework should be around the corner. It should be really close to the point where you can almost smell it. But with that, of course, there also comes leaks. So whether they are real or fake, that is the question. But either way, let's jump into it. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. Again, take it with a grain of salt. It might be true, might not be true, might half be true, or somewhere in between like that. So either way, boys and girls, let's just jump right into it. So there's a bunch of stuff to go over. So now this is the leak that got sent to me. So now I want to do a quick shout out to the person that, of course, sent me this. He said he said it or saw it on Reddit. Philip Coleman from Twitter. He said he saw it on Reddit for literally like 5 minutes and it went away instantly. So let's take a look, and we're gonna see, based on what Riot has told us and everything, just, you know, how plausible does it look? Does it make sense? Because I already read it through and it looks pretty good. So this video is going to be sponsored by Summoner's War. For 6 years now, Summoner's War has been one of the most popular games in the App Store and in the Google Play Store, with millions of players around the world. If you're not aware, Summoner's War is a turn-based RPG where you can collect over 1,000 unique monsters to create your perfect arsenal. My first lightning was the Fire Sniper. What will be yours? There's global PvP arena, there's weekly in-game events, you can customize your own personal Sky Island. There's a massive global community within the game as well. Speaking of, there's a massive event happening right now. If you download Summoner's War right now with the link below, you'll get 100 mystical scrolls for free. And things are just getting started. There's so many more updates coming to celebrate the 6 years. So make sure to scroll down to the description below and download the game for free. Start summoning now and see what monsters that you get. So with all that being said and done, let's just get right into it. So passive. VOLIBEAR's basic attacks grant stacks. Each stack gives him attack speed and missing health regeneration. So that in itself, I can already see, right? That kind of makes sense, I think, to me overall, right? I can see him getting attack speed. I can see him getting the missing health regeneration. Yeah, you know, that seems plausible. At max stacks, he also gains Chain Lightning and increased armor and MR resistance, and it now has an 80 ratio. So now the question is how many stacks there are. So that makes me think, man, some attack speed VOLIBEAR action could be pretty spicy. But he gets a lot of attack speed, right? And a max stacks Chain Lightning, which is similar to his ultimate. So they essentially took, well, assuming this is true, his ultimate, the current one, and kind of shifted it a little bit into his passive, which makes the passive sound actually pretty strong now, to be completely honest. So I'm assuming the lightning shouldn't be too strong. Maybe it requires a lot of stacks to start proccing. I'm not entirely sure, but overall, it sounds like it's pretty plausible, and I could see it happening. Like, I could actually see it being a thing. Moving along to his Q, the same as in the current Q, right, where he just charges forward and flips someone over, except it lasts longer. So I'm assuming you have a longer time to actually run to the target and flip them before, like, the animation or cooldown thingy starts. And he now gains Thunder Sense, which is a new thing apparently. Thunder Sense reveals the nearest enemy champion's direction every few seconds while the ability is active. So you might be wondering, what the hell does that even mean? Well, similar to Evelyn's, if you have an Evelyn on the enemy team, you know how whenever she uses her W on you, like the little heart thingy, and it, does the full heart, and then it procs, and then it shows a little bit, like, little arrow almost or something like that, to kind of give you a direction idea as to where she is exactly right now. Apparently this is going to be the similar thing, but for VOLIBEAR, and it'll show him the nearest target, so he knows where to run and where to chase them down to, assuming he hasn't seen anyone already or something like that. Which is pretty cool. So that's going to be very interesting. So this gives him a little bit more of like an actual rundown power where you just can't run away. Almost like a Warwick in a way as well. You kind of just have an idea where they are, like sniff them out almost, right? Which makes sense for a bear. Moving along, his W. This is where things get a little more interesting. So it can be used immediately, right? The W is the current Nom Nom, I believe. The Chompy Chomp can be used immediately, reducing the enemy's armor and MR resistance. So that in itself is pretty good. Once VOLIBEAR reaches maximum stacks, now see, that's the question. That's what I'm confused about. Max stacks of what? Like, does this maybe does this link with maybe his passive? Maybe his passive, once it's max stacks, also procs like the final version of his W, right? Something like that. Maybe that makes a lot of sense, right? I think that could be what it is. The cooldown is resets, and it deals an additional missing health damage. Now, again, that's the biggest question. Does this have its own max stacks, and does this have its own max stacks? Like, does it have two different max stacks for each ability, or is it one thing where it gets to max stacks and then it affects both the passive and the W? That's the question, which I'm not sure about. Moving along to his E, calls down a lightning strike after a couple of seconds in an area. By the way, this is the E ability that we did already see, right? This is going to be this bad boy right here. If you haven't seen it before, I'll show you guys right here, right? This is the E, which already has been confirmed, literally. it is Volibear's E, right? So it calls down a lightning strike after a couple of seconds in an area, which again, if it's a fake leak, right, not very hard to write that little fake leak after seeing something like this, right? But having said that, enemies can be flipped into it for additional damage, obviously probably combined, excuse me, with the Q. Once again, at max stacks, the attack is almost instant. So I'm assuming at max stacks that this thing is just like it doesn't have this whole wind up time. It's just like maybe like a third of the cast time, if you will, or something like that, which would be pretty cool. By the way, if you look really closely, if you look right here, you can see a shadow. See that, right? And you saw a little hand over here. Check it out. Look at it. You see a little hand. Let me zoom in a little bit so you guys can see it. You see that, right? That's Volibear literally standing there casting it. So that in itself already shows us that that ability is going to be kind of like a mini ranged-ish ability, right? So that's something to keep in mind, of course, which is a lot easier to land and combine and combo with your Q ability. So you can, you know, throw it down and then Q them backwards into it or something like that. And it can just do a lot of damage, which is pretty cool. But again, it does say max stacks once again, boys and girls. Again, is it something related? I'm assuming he has one ability that's just related to max stacks, probably his passive, which affects all the other abilities as well at maximum stacks. Anyways, moving on to his ultimates. Volibear launches a lightning bolt in a line. Similar to Brand's ultimates, it will spread or chain to nearby enemies and turrets. That's the biggest one, turrets. Enemies hit are marked for a few seconds and lightning bolts are constantly launched from the sky in an area around them. That sounds like a pretty spicy ultimate. That just sounds like Brand ult on steroids, seriously. Because you fire it off, right? It's going to spread and chain to people, right? Maybe, you know, like Brand ult, maybe like a Varus ult. It's lighting, first of all, so that's going to look really cool. I think a lot of visual effects there. Hopefully people's computers aren't going to blow up from, you know, this ability. But the biggest thing is the fact that, well, it affects turrets. I don't think Varus' ultimate doesn't affect turrets. Brand's ultimate doesn't affect turrets, but this one does. Now, the question is, how many times can it bounce? Because if it affects turrets, and it goes to a turret when you don't want it to, does that mean that it has one less bounce to champions when you want to go to the champions instead? That could be a little bit of a downside, but also a plus side, depending on the scenario, of course. But the coolest thing is when they're marked, for a few seconds, lightning bolts are constantly launched from the sky in an area around them, so you want to be careful. So it is similar to a Brand ult and a Varus ult, where if someone gets rooted, you want to get the hell away from that person, because you're going to get hit by that thing too. You know, you want to dip set ASAP. So that's going to be pretty cool. A lot of AOE damage. So that's, I mean, that's the current leak for the Volibear rework. Again, he's around the corner, so once he's out, you know, that is going to be something we'll compare it to and see just how well the leaks are doing. Now, as further proof that he is around the corner, on Uncertain at 20, I did talk about it before. I'll briefly mention it one more time. There are teasers, apparently, you can see here, for Volibear already on the PvE server, one way or another, which is pretty cool. And then apparently you also have, you know, which I talked about before. We'll go over super quickly. A lot of files on the PvE server. Like I said before, there's teasers over here for some events happening, some ARAM event with Ash, right? You have a lot of assets for his abilities here. I don't know if one of these is for his ultimate. I'm kind of curious if we can maybe quickly see. Yeah, here. Base R tower, right? So you can go to towers as well, which obviously is further proof. Base R static, right? And everything. So lightning around people, which is the static that I mentioned inside the leak, right? And it does have visual effects over here for the towers, which further proves that it seems to actually does interact with towers one way or another. So either this leak is actually plausible, or this guy is really good at writing leaks, looked at literally all the information available and then put it all together into this, I guess, fake leak, right? I don't know if it's fake. I don't know if it's real, which is pretty cool. But you can also look at this page right here, because this also shows us all of the information that Riot has so far given us, right? They did say that some of his abilities are going to be similar. Some of them are going to be different. I forgot exactly where they stated it, but they did state somewhere when we read it before that I think his Q is supposed to be the same. Or not the same, but very similar, and his W is supposed to be, you know, very similar, while his E and his ultimate are supposed to be significantly different, which is what this leak is pretty much saying. The Q and W are similar abilities, right? Just a little bit of a twist to them, while the E and the R are entirely different, like not even close to being the same for the most part, right? Which is going to be really cool. At the bottom, they also have a lot of cool visuals, so check it out. Right, this is him like chasing someone down. Which actually kind of makes sense if you think about it, because that is like, that actually sounds a lot like, does not sound like his Q ulti, but him like hunting them down, like that's gonna be the Thunder Stance. That actually sounds like Thunder Stance, like literally. I could see it, seriously. That sounds like a perfect sound effect for Thunder Stance, giving you an idea, and him essentially sensing someone around him, where they are and how close they are, and that's kind of combined somehow into his Q ability, which is definitely
Bones
plausible.
crunch, blood drips. This is the way of old warrior.
Jesus. Yikers. But either way, guys, that is more or less about it. This is the leak we talked about a while ago. Another one that has been brought up in my videos before that I mentioned that someone else made. Maybe this is the real one, who knows, but I did talk about it before. I don't want to go over it too much more. But either way, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think about it, of course. Once Volibear information, like from Riot themselves especially, is of course released, I will make videos about it as soon as possible. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you turn on the bell for notifications, so the second I release that information, you're here ready to go, and we're up to date as fast as humanly possible. But either way, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.